right. So, welcome to the Assets and Algorithms, the podcast where we explore the intersection of real estate and technology. Today, I have Kyle Connor with me from DIY Real Estate, and I appreciate you joining me.
Yeah, Derek, happy to be here, man. Awesome initiative and work you got going on with the podcast. And excited to get some big things today.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it, and I'd love to dive right into it because I'm excited as well.
Yeah.
So I want to ask you to just share a little bit about your role and how it fits into the bigger picture over there at DI.
Yeah. So right now I'm the owner, CEO, and principal owner, right? So the head honcho, as they say. But listen, that comes with a great deal of level of responsibility and stress. And I certainly wear it proudly to have that role within DIY. But yeah, man, I've been running the ship here for 4 years now. We launched back in 2021. And, my role has certainly changed a lot in that growth. Definitely from being a startup to literally working and building every single department from systems to data to lead gen and cold call, everything, man. And then now, being in a position where I have a full staff of, I think we're up to about 45 people now under me. So that's been a lot of interesting journey and challenges and learning lessons along the way that I'm sure we'll get into today. But that's a little bit about me, man, and my role here at DIY.
Absolutely, man. I love that answer. Congratulations on that growth and that success that you guys are
Yeah,
experiencing over
thank you.
there. So I want to ask because I think you guys have a really unique business. Let's talk about what tech tools you typically use during your day and in your business.
Yeah, so tech, man, tech is if I didn't have software and cloud software specifically, I would not have this business. And I don't know how I'd be able to operate and run it, right? This is a completely virtual company, first and foremost. Every one of my staff is located in offshore. Most of my team members, from leadership all the way down to, cold callers, are based out of Egypt. Some are in Latin American countries. I mean, we're a true global company. So, the things that we need to, cloud technology is a must, first and foremost. At the foundation and core, Slack, a major product of ours just for client communication, client support, team engagement, team around, engagement throughout the day. And it's really just a great way for us to be able to streamline communication and have that like in office feel without being in the office, right? So Slack is at the core of it. Then of course, we have a big Google Workspace subscription that allows us to, of course, get all the benefits from Google Drives and all that jazz, which I think everyone uses at this point. Freemium way, that's the best, right? It's amazing. And then when you think about some of the ones that, like, again, we can't live without our power dialer system, Ready Mode, compliant dialer system, which has so many great features and functionalities. We'll probably talk about some of these tools more in depth, but that allows us to, of course, deliver our service to our clients, and is an incredible software platform that allows us to literally manage our entire virtual team from anywhere in the world, audit, QA, performance, and ultimately qualify the leads, which is the core service, right? So, when I think about things that I can't live without, it's my Google Workspace, my Slack, my Power Dialer, and then lastly would be our CRM, which is Go High Level, which is a beast of a CRM. So a lot that we can get into for those for sure.
Absolutely. And listen, I love that you have that suite and you said specifically cloud software, right? And I think that is really what allows companies to grow and scale at a level that they wouldn't be able to without it. Having a global team and being able to keep it all together with Slack is I'm sure makes a tremendous difference for you guys. So I love to hear that.
No, I was gonna say, and you main real quick, you talked about like, cloud technology, right? In real estate, it's just the real estate space is very far behind when it comes to cloud technology. So that's, again, things that we'll go farther into, but it's just, when you hit the emphasis of cloud, like that's foreign to a lot of people, believe it or not.
Exactly, exactly. And yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the major shifts that we're seeing now across the board in other industries and in other businesses. And like you said, real estate is a bit slow to adapt it, but
Yeah.
I think, when we finally do as an industry, we'll see tremendous change and tremendous growth as well. I'd like for you to talk a little bit about how it's helped you with your growth and do you see real estate shifting to that and touch on that a bit for me.
Absolutely. So when I started back in 2019 is when I opened up my wholesaling business. And at the time, the products I was using in my business today are still the same. They've just have innovated in a major way. So like the core functionalities of like building lists and getting, marketing records and marketing data, right? It used to be go to the county and get these record data as quick, as fresh data, right? Of, companies that have built multi-million dollar software platforms off of data, real estate specific data, distressed seller data, investor data. That's why you have companies like InvestorLift that's valued at $1 billion. That's why you have companies like PropStream. I don't know what their valuation is, but it's probably up there too. It's like these
Mhm.
are people that came in and saw that there was an opportunity to innovate in real estate, and they're executing in a big way. And so I saw it from the data, the analytics side, and then it transitioned over to the infrastructure, right? Because when you think about real estate, most people think of it as a brokerage and an investment firm. You're in the office together, and it's like the Wolf of Wall Street type of vibes, right? Everyone's just
Right.
hustling, grinding, and that still happens today too. And it's still good to have an office. I'm not saying you shouldn't have brick and mortar, because there's something to say about that from a
Mhm.
culture perspective. I have just made the decision that for my lifestyle and work life and just flexibility, I want to build a completely virtual company, right? And so that
Mhm.
requires me to have to innovate and have to look into these new products every time they come out. And so, I'm excited, really, as you can tell, that the real estate industry as a whole has finally caught on to this idea now that, like, we can do deals by not having to show up at a house and shake hands and sign a contract, right? We can literally do real estate from anywhere in the world. It's crazy.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I think one of the key things that you mentioned is that when you started, you're still using the same tools, but those tools have upgraded and added new features and scaled and executed at a high level, allowing you to do the same. And I think even like something as simple as a power dial or something like you mentioned, it's tremendous, right? Like it allows you to be way more productive, way more efficient with something as simple as making calls and then go high level and some of the things that they've been able to implement, I think have really changed over the years. I think most recently they've been adding AI to their
Oh,
features as
man.
well.
So real quick before we go to CRMs, because that's important what you talked about. But when we talk about power dialers, right? And this is some gems right here. And this is just years of running a call center, right? And just having to learn this the hard way.
Mhm.
But the power dialer software has gone through so many changes to not of its own fault. It's just had to adapt to compliance regulations over the last couple of years, right?
Mhm.
You introduce A2P 10DLC compliance, right? Every phone number needs to be registered with carriers now. Your business needs to be registered with carriers now. That hurts a lot of power dialer companies that didn't invest, because it costs thousands of dollars to have this type of infrastructure set up and to have this ability to be able to, flag phone numbers when they've been caught as spam, recycle phone numbers in real time, because it's all about making sure you're making connections with sellers. And so
Right.
what I see so many people doing is treating a power dialer like a set it and forget it solution. And then they don't see the connections they're looking for. They aren't making conversations. They're not tech savvy, not to their fault, because most of these people in real estate don't come in with a tech background. But the deals are in the details, as I say. And when you take your time, when you're going into something like our Power Dollar tool, for example, and you make sure you're using the right compliance software, you have your phone numbers registered, and then they have now the ability to have auto sequences and auto follow up
Mhm.
cadence. So it allows you now to be able to retarget and repurpose your data in a way that you've never been able to before. And that makes sure
Right.
that leads don't slip through the cracks. That makes sure lead follow-ups don't slip through the cracks. So when
Mhm.
you said power dollars, man, like I've seen that take, aside from CRMs, which is the biggest, but definitely power dollars are up there for major, innovations that they've had to just to be able to comply with regulations.
Absolutely. I love that. That's a ton of great insight that you have on power dollars and how they've had to pivot and how it's allowed companies like yours to pivot. I'd love for you talk a little bit about CRMs because when I was starting out in real estate, everything was pen and paper and maybe we had some email, but nobody was using CRMs really. I think it's tremendous for any salesperson to be able to have that at their disposal. So talk a little bit about CRMs.
Yeah. So for anyone that's not familiar with the CRM, and most people are still very new. It's funny, like when I interview a lot of clients, most of them are working out of Google Sheets, which is crazy.
Right.
So a customer CRM is a customer relationship management system. Every industry has one, needs one, should have one, right? And then so the one that we use for Go High Level is caters to any industry. But the features, functionality, and the tools that you get with it, things like being able, to your point, have a central location for your records, your contacts, also have a central record of all of your active opportunities and deals. And then it's used to has then the job with that CRM is how do I effectively engage with these people? How do I
Mhm.
qualify them through the sales process? And then when they become a client, how do I get them post sale to still add more value and still to, because people sometimes forget about that too as well. Like there's a CRM is the only tool, in my opinion, that can give you the features and functionalities you need to manage your customer and your pipeline in a way that you really, if you do it right, can't let any opportunity slip through the cracks.
Right.
Yeah. So I think like if anyone is looking, Go High Level is a great tool to look into. And we have one that's called FlexConnect. It's actually a white label of Go High Level and it's purpose built for real estate professionals. And so that's
Mm.
where they started to introduce, okay, hey, we've started with pipeline management. We've started with pipeline engagement. We've started with new lead conversions. Now, what can we do to innovate with all this hubbub about AI? Okay,
Mhm.
now they've added AI bots into their CRM
Mhm.
that can now automatically engage with us, start with our sellers, right?
Right.
They can have, if conversation has died for too long with this our lead, okay, it's going to automatically follow up. Let's say your
Mhm.
virtual assistant team is working off hours or we're working off hours or busy, right? It's knowing to have a bot that can engage with people's traffic coming in and qualification to move them through the sales process. It's a win-win for any, especially small business owners, but
Right.
it's a win for any business owner.
Absolutely. I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. The way that CRM has been able to change people's careers that I've watched, and even mine, so just getting them organized, having them understand where each person is in the sales cycle. So, like you said, opportunities don't slip through the cracks.
I was going to say,
It's
Derek,
true.
before my bad, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I didn't even ask
Mhm.
you. You said you were using Google Sheets, right? You said you were working out of like pen and paper. So tell me like what that was like when you were just doing that. And did you end up going to,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, when I first came into the industry, yeah, we were using pen and paper to write leads, names, and contact information down. And yeah, a little bit of Google Sheets, Google Docs, just to
right,
have it everywhere, you know. But when we implemented Salesforce, when I first implemented it and started using it and saw the value in it that it provides, and then being able to pass that on to my teammates and watching them take off. I mean, it's night and day, right? Like it's not even comparable. The way that you're able to again to go on the cloud, get the information you need, especially in real estate, if you're out in the field traditionally, showing houses and things of that nature. Um, to grab that information and be sharp and be able to articulate that to your clients or send a communication to them, email or call them, whatever it is. I mean, it's I can't say enough about it, right?
oh
And
yeah,
then
reporting too. You brought up the team management aspect. I didn't even, think about that from a major feature is it's all about reporting, right? You got to have a
right,
central for it. And if you're working out of Google Sheets or you're working out of another software product, right? We talk about this all the time is reducing complexity because there's a lot of software products out there now and it can get cumbersome stacking
right.
products. That's a losing strategy also when you have too much innovation. But going back to CRMs, right? It's being able to now have if you now you're managing everything out of one central location, the reporting metrics that you can grab from that allows you to build that predictability for your business and really become a true business owner, in my opinion.
Exactly, exactly. A lot like I agree. It allows you to become a true business owner because now those systems are in place. You're not running around finding this paper, losing that paper, or trying to sift through the information. You know exactly what's there. It has a hierarchy of what's most important, what's least important, and it just allows you to be better and do better. And you mentioned AI and how some of that is emerging now in the industry, and with tools like Go High Level, I've always seen technology as a facilitator and an enabler, and I
Yes.
think AI will be the same. You have a phrase that I love. You frame AI and humans as being better together.
Yes.
I'd love to hear you talk about and walk us through what that actually looks like as an operator.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I love the better together story is powerful because listen, we're all potentially could be replaceable, right? At any point, I think everyone's a little bit, that's in this business world. And obviously, we're talking about blue collar jobs that can't really be replaced by AI. But when we talk about,
Mhm.
when we're at the computer or behind the desk, I think anyone in sales, marketing, development, we're all at risk, right? So, however, there's, in my humble opinion, and especially in real estate, right? I think real estate is a people working with people business. 1 in a million wholesalers, there's 1 in a million investors, there's 1 in a million brokers. But at the end of the day, people
Right.
want to work with people they like and they can resonate with. So that human element, especially in the industry that we operate in, is always going to be there, in my opinion. Until we
Hmm.
become so disconnected emotionally down the road, then probably we'll find a way where it's just going to be transactional. But I do think right now, and at least for the foreseeable future, we must have a human element. Now, the question begs is, when does that human element come into play, and versus when does AI and software, right? Because when
Hmm.
is that necessary? You know, and I also run a team of virtual assistants, right? And there's no role that is under more scrutiny for replacement than a VA, than a virtual assistant,
Hmm.
because
Right.
these AI tools tend to just be able to handle a lot of these remedial tasks that VAs were doing in years before. But here's what we're doing, right? As a small business, as a growing business, as a scaling business, is we look at it this way: is that if I can hire one person and then I can build AI, just software, let's just call it software, but pretty much every tool now has an AI, you know,
Right.
feature that you can enable in it for some way or another. But if I can build a team and build a company that operates efficiently and generates, let's say we just want to do $1 million, and just say, if I can build a team that generates $1 million in revenue, but instead of having to build a team of 50 to 100 to get there, and I can build a team of 20, 25 people to 30 people, and I build a system with structure and best in class tools to enable my teammates, now I have one person doing the job of 5 to 6 people.
Mm.
We did, funny enough, in our second year, actually. I scaled way too fast as a business owner, and I went from 52 people down to 23 people in my business, and found that I
Mm.
could actually, and what we did, it was very challenging, but we had to really go through and figure out, hey guys, like, this roles and responsibilities can easily be replaced, or we can improve the process to be more efficient. So it was a tough experience going through that, but it was an empowering one, because now that we've gotten comfortable with scaling with the combination of good tech and people, it's a much frictionless way of scaling, because the less
Mm.
people you have in the mix, the better, right? The less human
A-
intervention, the better.
Absolutely. Listen, I agree because, there's always this thought that human error can ruin things.
Right.
And I think that's true. And being able to allow humans to use the technology to minimize those errors and also amplify those strengths, right? I think is amazing. So being able to grow and scale with a lean team is going to really change the way that real estate is done, businesses are grown, and I love it. Honestly, I'm looking forward to that future. I mean, the future is now, but I'm looking forward to how it even changes as AI agents continue to develop and AI features are continued to be implemented in these tools that we need and we use every day in our lives.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah. You think like lead generation, lead management, for a lot of ways. Like when you think about things that right now, I've made the decision to still have humans on the phones. I know a lot of people are
mhm.
going to like AI call centers and bot call centers,
Right.
and I I I am still just an early adopter to that, because I still want to have humans on the phone when they talk to a seller. That's just a decision I've made.
Necessary.
And that may be something we change in the next couple of quarters. We're always reviewing as those tools, because it's still, a lot of these bots are still, they're not perfect, right? They're still,
I
we are
agree.
in very, very early stages of this, which is exciting.
Absolutely.
But it means that I'm not going to give up right now a lot of control when it comes to anything that has to do with so the client interaction when we're doing like account reviews, right? There's a lot of data, there's a lot of different reports that we're reviewing together, and there's analysis that's required to give feedback to clients. So like in the customer success role, I'm doing a virtual assistant, but I'm having them do their admin tasks, reporting, and they're using AI to like better effectively do their day-to-day operations when they leave their client meetings. That's just one example, right? And then there's an example of, hey, when we're doing lead gen through SMS or email or
Mhm.
some sort of promotions, right? When I'm using those marketing channels, I don't need all I need is ultimately just an AI bot and the Go High Level software that can do that for me, right? So you got to just figure out where you as a business owner really want to give up that control to an AI bot, where you feel comfortable, like, hey, my clients or my seller, whoever, my investor, if they're going to engage with this, is there any risk that this could hinder or hurt my relationship? And you got to make that decision, right? And then I
Hmm.
just say, hey, I'll rather have a person do it if I feel like there's too much risk, you know?
Absolutely. Listen, I love that. I think again, AI and technology in general is definitely revolutionizing the way that we do things, but especially in real estate, we're always going to need that human touch because it is a human business, it's a relationship business, and there's some things you just won't be able to replace humans for.
Correct.
And I like what you said about we're still at the very beginning of it, right? This technology is so new and it's great. It's working for all of us. I know us at AI Smarter, and it sounds like you guys at DIY, it's doing amazing things, implementing in our everyday tasks. But I want to ask you a little bit about what's been frustrating. Talk to me about some of the drawbacks of using this technology so far.
Yeah. So, you know, again, there's when you do, so I'm actually experiencing this right now. Funny enough, I just had a meeting with my team earlier today because we invested into this new CRM FlexConnect, which is again, go high level, but as a white label and custom build for real estate. We moved over to that in December of last year, 2024. So, you know, we're now month three fully of doing this. And, you know, like anything new, it's going to take some breaking of glass. And so where we're finding is that in our text conversations and our automations, and then where leads need to be bucketed appropriately, in order for my lead managers and my team to follow up with the right people in a timely fashion, that's where we're seeing some flaws right now. So we've seen, you know, contacts being responded to, you know, multiple times where they wasn't necessary, right? We've
Hmm.
seen leads that have not been put in the appropriate pipeline bucket that should be getting a call, but unfortunately, like they just you know, we trusted the automations, we trusted the AI, and then it didn't do it. So it's like it's just like an employee who made a mistake, right? And you have to
Hmm.
be patient. I think the really good thing though about AI bots is that you know, when you're testing it and you fix something, it really doesn't make a mistake again. You know, it doesn't. It's just
Right.
having that patience, and not everyone is tech savvy as I am. I'm going to pat
Hmm.
myself on the back. I'm probably more of a tech focused CEO than most, but even I like am literally was just wanting to jump through the window today because I was like, I'm now doing you know, tech troubleshooting when I wanted to be talking to potential new clients and converting new clients, right? It's just, you
Right.
know, I think the big thing is people that aren't familiar with tech, I should say, and people
Mhm.
that believe often that software is a set it and forget it solution, regardless of anything, right? Anything
Mhm.
from dollar to AI to whatever. Don't get sold on the fact that software can just be deployed in your business and then it's just ready to go and you're going to get ROI immediately. That's a very irresponsible way of going at it. But I think that's, and you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, right? People just
Mhm.
expect technology because that's what's marketed and that's what's sold as the easy button. They expect it to
Right.
work, and that's just unfortunately not how life works. So I think it's just like anything, having the patience to know that these things aren't perfect and to not, don't, you need to be auditing this.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you need to be auditing these things. Don't let it be a set and forget it.
Absolutely, absolutely. I 100% agree with that as well. I think right now what we're seeing because AI is so new, we're seeing a lot of people that are looking at AI and saying, yeah, it's great, it's able to do this, it's able to do that. Sometimes it hallucinates, right? If it doesn't have the answer, it'll make one up. And they're trying to grab onto that and hold on to that as a reason to not adopt it and not implement it. But I
Right.
think, like you said, you have to audit it just like you would in the beginning, an employee. You know, they come in and they make mistakes, but the difference with AI, once you're able to correct it, it very rarely makes that same mistake again, if at all, ever again.
Correct.
I think that as we continue to grow with this technology and it continues to get better because it's moving at a rapid pace, right? When ChatGPT was released, I think it's only been 2 years ago now, right?
Yeah, it's nuts, dude. And now they just released their new features are insane that they've added the like the photo element to it and the
Right.
image element to it. I mean, the other day I was just playing around. I wrote up an offer for we were just releasing a new like data and skip tracing service, and I wrote up an offer with like pay, you know, advertisement for it and everything. Literally in a matter of
Mhm.
like 30 minutes, I was just doing it off chat just for fun. It was like, dude, this is
Right.
crazy what you
Mhm.
can do with it. But yeah,
It's absolutely insane. I mean, I don't think anybody necessarily thought that when 2 years it was released, that we'll be able to have agents that are able to take over tasks and handle them for us, as opposed to us, talking to it and telling it what to do. So yeah, like you said, I was playing with it, some of the photo features and some of the designing features that it's able to do, even with video now. It's really, really, really interesting. And this may be a little bit of a trick question because of the growth that we've seen over the past 2 years. Let me ask you, where do you see this technology helping you in the next 6 to 12 months from now? Ideally, how would you be positioned?
Yeah, so I'll talk about it how I'll give you two examples. One of how I'm using it in my real estate business, and then one as I'm using it in the service business with DIY real estate and my clients. So for my wholesaling business, my focus in my marketing has always been SMS marketing and cold call marketing. That's what I've been most comfortable with. It's given me a consistent ROI, and we've always done really well in it, regardless of compliance issues. But in order to effectively do well in those marketing channels, you have to have a really good set of data to target and go after. And unfortunately, in the market, there is a major problem with data saturation. Everyone wants to be a wholesaler and investor now, probably, and we're all and follow the same influencers and people that probably got into it in the first place. But because of that, and everyone's low budget and still building their business and getting their feet off the ground, is that everyone's going after the PropStreams of the world, the batch leads, the list sources. There's just all of these like $100 to maybe $200 a month software providers that everyone in the industry went after and just started to like hammer those lists. And so that created a massive problem with data saturation.
Right.
However, the innovation of this next, thanks to AI, is, it used to be lists like vacant properties, pre-foreclosures, absentee owners, divorce, tired landlords. Those are still very much so at the top and still work very well, those lists. But what predictive list builders do is they layer leads that fall on multiple distressor data points, and they're able to capture and layer this data on top of one another. And so tools, you would have to buy a tool like REI Sift is one, or you have to like literally invest into a list stacking product to be able to see how your data and your leads fall into different data buckets. And as an investor or as a wholesaler for my world, and even an investor looking to get a discounted deal, there's no better list to go after than a stacked list with leads that fall on multiple distressor data points. But there wasn't products out there in the past to be able to do that. It was very manual, at least. It was extremely manual to do that. The functionality is there. And if you know list stacking and data science, you can easily do that. But again, for the busy entrepreneur or for the new the new entrepreneur, wholesaler, or real estate investor, this tool DataFlick is something I just invested into, and it's a predictive list builder. And there's new companies coming out that are big data companies now leveraging predictive analytics into real estate to be able to see people that are going to be highly motivated on the seller side. And now they're going to be able to see buyer activity, which is something that's missing in the just buyer analytics and investor data because of how popular wholesaling has become. Now we're seeing that data trickle into that side of the real estate transaction. So what I'm most excited about, dude, in the next 6 to 12 months is how can big data and analytics allow me to market more efficiently? So I'm not just doing the spray and pray approach that I've gotten so accustomed to, wasting money on data, spending money and time on leads that aren't really motivated in the first place. So this is going to allow me to spend better in data, but also make sure that when I start my campaigns, that now from top to bottom, my agents are spending better time in the right areas. There's better quality leads, hopefully, for my acquisitions team to work on. And that's the cause and effect of that investment. So big data, man, that's a big one. Honestly, I'll say big data in both businesses. That's really what it comes down to, because I'm excited.
Man, it sounds amazing. It sounds like you're staying at the cutting edge and using the best tools. You're trying out and failing forward and really succeeding with them. So I love to hear it. I wish our conversation could be longer, but it's been an amazing talk. I appreciate all the insights you've been able to provide. I'd like to give you this time for any last words and to provide any contact information if anybody wants to reach out to you at all.
Absolutely. First off, Derek, thanks for having me, man. I think this is first off an awesome initiative that you're doing. Going back to how we started this conversation, right? Real estate has done just a lot of antiquated and old ways of doing things. And I think you being at the forefront and educating people on this is extremely beneficial to the space. So kudos to you, bro, for building this platform. And I appreciate you having me on today. Now, if you want to stay in touch, for anyone watching, listening, in the future, I'm very active on social media, so you can go follow me on Instagram, which is the Kyle Connor, Connor. And then my YouTube channel. I'm putting a lot of investment into my YouTube channel. I'm trying to do a lot of content like this. Actually, it just launched today. That'll be coming out tonight. It's just a new video on 3 must-have next-gen tools that I'm leveraging in my real estate business in 2025. That actually highlights in depth some of the tools that we've talked about today. So follow me on YouTube. It's just Kyle Connor. The Kyle Connor, because unfortunately there's a professional hockey player apparently named Kyle Connor, so he took it from me. But but that's the best place to find me, man. And I look forward to hopefully giving back to your community in the future as well.
Sounds great. I appreciate your time, Kyle, and thank you for joining us here on the Assets and Algorithms podcast.
Thanks, Derek.